What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rule Zero. We are live. I got to change that opening because we don't know who has the World Manosphere Championship. We don't know. We don't know. You have to watch the pay-per-view.
Nobody's going to find out yet.
Right. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications, guys, and make sure that we comment, guys. Make sure that we drop some comments and be generous with the super chats today, because you know we're going to get demonetized. And
you're monetized,
and Paul's medical bills need to be paid.
Right. Yeah. And then also get some Rule Zero merch, guys. The link's in the description. You can get your cool hats and stuff like that. Support the show. Okay. Support the goddamn show. You're here. We're giving you value. Kick a little back, throw us a bone a little bit. We are going to be talking about alpha widows today. Yeah.
We're talking about horse people. They're
right.
I had to get that sound, but how the hell are you guys? Jack Napier, what's going on, man? It's been a while.
I can't complain. Been busy, but now I'm back. Hello. How have you guys been?
I can't complain either. Yeah, life's good. What's up, Mr. Producer? What you been producing?
Oh, let's see. I did a show with Andrew Wilson. I've done a show with the Iron Disciples recently. That was a good one. We were talking about how shitty servant leadership is.
You did one too on how we should bring back stoning.
Yes, and it brought back how we should bring back stoning hoes.
It's never gonna work. It's never gonna work.
About horse people, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Did you see Bill Burr as a new film?
I just watched it last night.
That was pretty good.
It is hilarious. Mm-hmm. It is hilarious. It's called Old Dads, and oh man, it's such a funny show.
Dude, what about the guy with the vasectomy that never got brought back up? Where it's like,
that is a terrible part of the story. That's a terrible part of the story.
Speaking of terrible,
Mr. Rollo Tomasi. I'm glad Rollo joined us today because he
rates you with my presence.
He basically coined the term alpha widow. Like, Rollo, you invented that term, yes?
Yes, I did back in 2011, something like that.
Yeah.
10 years ago, 20 years ago, who fuck knows?
And everyone says that now. Oh, and look who else we got.
Oh, my Lord in heaven. Jeez. My Lord and Savior has arrived.
Cappy! What's up, guys? Cappy said that he would grace us with his presence for maybe 30 minutes.
That means you're still in another state, and I can use your house for another week.
Yeah, I know. By all means, please do. I don't want to. I'd like to have a middle-aged man's eyes on it, because you know where the water shutoff valve is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I do have to go in about 30 minutes because I promised my neighbor a mile and a half away I'd go help him out with some projects. So
I have a very good cigar I'm going to smoke with you when you get back, because you've really helped me out throughout the summer.
Oh, good. All right, no problem.
Nice. All right, so before we get into the gossip, I compiled a list. I crowdsourced it. I asked people on Twitter, people on Instagram, people on Facebook, of all the Hollywood celebrities they could think of that have been possibly alpha widowed, and who was their alpha that widowed them, right? And so I got a list here we could go through and speculate, but first, since Mr. Tomasi invented the term, Rollo, what is an alpha widow?
Oh boy. Okay, so an alpha widow is, I came up with this term back in 2010. It was actually before I wrote about it before I started talking about it. So it was a term that we came up with when we were when I was in the SoSwab forums back in the mid 2000s, and we talked about, I think it was Royce who actually brought up the fact that was it 5 minutes of alpha trumps 5 years of beta. And he wrote this one article. It's long gone right now. His site's been sort of defunct for a while. But he wrote this one article about, I think it was Katy Perry. And Katy Perry was like, was sort of becoming like, remember, this is mid 2000s. So Katy Perry was like a much bigger deal back then. And she had done some show, and she was harping on about some guy that she knew in high school. And how she was like, look where I am now and look where you are now. And but she was still pining for this guy. And she wrote this song called what was it? The One Who Got Away. And so I thought about this and I go, she is a widow. She's been widowed by this guy. She can't get over. This is the one guy she just cannot get over. And so we had this very long sort of drawn out discussion on the SoSwap boards. And then that became an essay that I wrote called Alpha Widows. And then I've written like several other essays and articles, and it's featured in like at least 3 of my books since then. But it's the concept that women can't, like, they find that one guy who makes the alpha impact on them that they just can't get over, but they couldn't lock that dude down. So if you go and you like, there's 2 examples I'll give you in popular media. One is that Katy Perry song, right? It's The One Who Got Away. It's like Johnny who died at Dead Man's Curve. And she's writing it from the perspective of she's an older woman who has like lived a life of leisure. She met some rich guy later on, but she still is singing songs and crying over Johnny who died at Dead Man's Curve, right? She just can't. She's literally the one who got away. That is an anthem for an alpha widow. The other one is, which we use all the time, which is if you look at the end scene for Titanic. And you look at Rose when she's taking the hard, like it's the most obnoxious, most evil fucking scene, but everybody thinks it's the most romantic thing in the world. When you have this elderly woman who I guess is 100 years old, I think, at the end of that movie, and she's there, and they've just discovered the Titanic at the bottom of the ocean, and now she's got all of her pictures of her just wonderful, magical life that she was able to lead. And we presume it's because Jack died and went to the watery grave below in the icy seas, and he's like waiting for her in the fucking ballroom of the Titanic, right? But it's almost like it's this Jesus Christ's like martyrdom. Like it's because he sacrificed himself for Rose and that she was able to live all these lives. Meanwhile, it's the rich motherfucker that she married who gave her this life. She could be like Amelia Earhart, and she could be like, she flew planes. She rode like English riding, horses. She had like, 5 kids and 10 grandkids. And she has this just big, full life, not because of Jack in the bottom of the ocean, but because some rich dude actually funded her life so that she could have that. But her heart, the heart of like we're meant to say this is her heart. The one that got away, Johnny who died at Dead Man's Curve, is Jack down at the bottom of the ocean in the Titanic ballroom waiting for her when she dies. And that's if there's I can't think of a better definition of an alpha widow, is that she's just pining for this guy over the course of a lifetime. And we think it's this, women anyways, think it's this grandiose, like romantic love story. And it's like, no, it's really not. It's really an unhealthy obsession that you have with this guy you met, you banged once when you were like, when he was 16 and you were like 18 or whatever, who even knows what the age differential was. And she's like meanwhile, the one of the key lines in Titanic was, I'd rather be his slut than your wife. Like that was one of the actual one of the lines in Titanic. Like if you watch Titanic today with the red pill wit lens, it is not a romance. It is a horror story. It's what it is. And you look at just this decision. I mean, remember, this is supposed to take place in the 1910s. I forget when the Titanic sank, but it's meant to be in this romanticized, sort of Gilded Age, and that it's over the course, in the most extreme sense, anyways. An alpha widow is Rose, essentially, who's waiting for her lover at the bottom of the ocean, right? But really, in a practical sense, it's women who got with a guy in their youth, and they can't get over that one guy, and so therefore they are widows from that alpha that made the most alpha impression on them, and they just simply can't get over it. So if you look at, like, the reason we're even discussing this right now, of course, is because of Jada Pinkett Smith and Tupac Shakur, right? Literally, it follows that story to the fucking letter. Okay.
Yeah.
Tupac gets killed in Las Vegas at gunpoint, shoots the guy, and he's now a martyr. to the hip hop scene. And Jada was the one who's like, well, if he'd have lived, then things would have been different. And she tries to fill, she couldn't fill that hole with the rich motherfucker who is Will Smith. He's the guy who funded all those pictures for Rose at the end of her life. And then you've got, maybe she's trying to sort of fill that void with August Alsina and all the rest of these, but she literally to the letter fulfills that exact same romance fantasy that you saw in Titanic. That's more or less the definition of an alpha widow.
Got it. Glenn, Mr. Producer, you knew Katy Perry. Were you the one that got away?
I knew Katy Perry back in Santa Barbara. We went to youth group together. Her parents were big into the church, so like I grew up with her. Like I grew up knowing her. She was always cool back then until she became a slut.
Talking about horse people.
That's
They're
right.
everywhere.
Right. No, but she was cool. Her parents, like, it's so funny seeing like where her life is and like knowing her parents. Because when I go to Santa Barbara, I still like run into her family every once in a while, and her parents are like, really conservative, like really part of the church. And so it's really weird to hear, like, when she came out the song, like, I Kissed a Girl, I'm like, oh, Lord, she went whore on us,
She did used to be religious, didn't she?
Yeah, she was. Like so we used to have, like, these talent shows. And so it was her, these two brothers that I knew from Santa Maria, myself, and a couple other people would just all, like, do our music and stuff. And we all kind of like knew each other like pretty well. Like we would do like little talent shows and stuff like that. And then like when I moved away from Santa Barbara, shortly after that is when she like really took off. But I think I kind of know the guy she was talking about, the one that got away.
Yeah, she was with Russell Brand at that time, and so she was flexing Russell Brand, but she still couldn't get over the guy in high school.
Yeah, she had a thing for this dude in youth group. Then that's kind of why I'm thinking it's the same guy. Like she had this thing for this guy. He was about like 19. He used to go to the youth group like when he was younger, and she kind of had a thing for him then.
He smoked at the bike rack kind of thing. Snuck out.
Yeah.
Never told the best.
They don't do that at youth group. They're all good boys there.
There's always one. There's always one.
We go to Boomers, right? Or some golf, like miniature
Cappy's
golf
house.
thing.
You go to Cappy's house.
We go to Cappy's house, and we go do some really bad things in a closet somewhere, and then we pray about it later.
Oh, sounds dirty. John Fitch. So John actually came up with the idea of this show because he found an article about Britney Spears. Tell us about what's going on with Britney Spears, John.
I think she has a book coming out, a tell-all book or something.
Memoir.
She can write.
Just like Jada. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, she spilled the beans that her and Justin had a baby, and she had an abortion. He convinced her that they were too young, so she gave it up, and she was fine with it because she thought they were always going to be together and they were destined to have a family together. So that reeks to me of definite alpha widow. And then you see her spiraling out of control now, and she's still talking about that stuff that happened 20 years ago. I think that's pretty significant.
Pretty self-evident. Cappy's got to go here pretty soon. Cappy,
Hey, Cappy.
what do you think about all these whores?
I'm a whore.
I think Rollo, he put it, the best. I guess the question I would have is why didn't they lock it down? And I gotta imagine it's because these guys didn't want to have it locked down. I mean, Tupac Shakur was probably at the peak of his celebrity ship. Although what's her name? Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake were married, but is it Katy Perry or is it Taylor Swift that was married or dating Russell Brand? Were they ever married?
Katy Perry was
married to him.
Okay, so what happened? And I don't care. I don't. It'd be one thing, yeah. Okay, the average girl who's your next door neighbor or the girl you work with, I'm sure there's always one that got away for the women as well. I'm sure we have our stories of the gal that got away, and women have the stories of the guy that got away. But I think where it becomes pronounced here is because of the celebrityship, but especially when they make a movie or a song about it where they're lamenting and ruining. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, well, get over it. All right. There's other guys in your life. There's, presumably the other guy that maybe, and it's kind of a tremendous disrespect to the guy. And if you can't get over the guy of your past, whether you're a celebrity or not, well, then maybe you ought to not be dating. Maybe you ought to wait till there's a guy that you're like, oh my God, it's better, because you can't be like in love with a ghost and then be dating some guy and then just sitting there, oh, yeah, I'm fine. So I don't know. I don't have any sympathy for him. I got to imagine things didn't work out for one reason or another. And it's probably a little bit of her, probably a little bit of him. All right. But what did you do? Did you work at it? Rose, there was the Titanic, the ship sank. How hard was it for Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears with their millions of dollars living in a mansion? Like, what was the crisis there that broke it up? So I just,
they didn't want to share.
Well,
he wanted to go on tour, and he's like, "Shit, I'm not bringing a diaper bag, bitch. Okay, yeah. I'm wearing a Louis Vuitton bag. All right."
Yeah, but that would be my. I just see a bunch of irresponsible people who couldn't keep their love lives together. Or they're chasing a guy in alpha where he's just like, no, I got plenty of pussy laying. Why would I commit to this? And well, too bad. But it's going to blind them to all the good things that are in front of them, again, celebrity or not. And they're gonna have. I mean, imagine being Jada Pinkett Smith and then just being tormented her entire life over not. Wow, you got millions of dollars. You got an A. I mean, Will Smith was the bomb, man. He was the bomb back then.
Independence Day.
Yeah, Independence Day. And then he got jacked, and
he's what I think we would refer to as a blue pilled alpha guy, right?
Yep.
Very much so.
He's got the blue pilled idealism, but he's very attractive to women. It's just that non-attractive behavior that blue pill guys tend to have is what
one of my
relationship.
One of my regular viewers read his book, and he said his book was very outing in like him being a blue pill type alpha. He's a Captain Save-A-Ho. He always has been.
Yeah. In fact, I think there was, now this is, I'm just going from third party information here, but there was a story that I guess Will was married once prior to Jada, I think. And either they were married or he was in a very serious relationship. And he ended up.
No, he was married.
Was he married? And he split.
His wife cheated on him.
Immediately picked up with Jada Pinkett Smith, and this was like what in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air years, during that time. And he also, I remember in his book, and then I remember watching the interview between Will Smith and Oprah Winfrey back when all this started to dust up, right? Rustling everybody's jimmies back in 2020. And that's when I first started doing my shows about them, about Jada Pinkett Smith, when he did the Red Table Talk thing. And it was funny. There's so much things I could get away with back then that I can't get away with now, because I can't possibly rebroadcast the NBC interview of Jada Pinkett Smith, but I could rebroadcast the Red Table Talk because it was just this bullshit no name podcast back then. But during that discussion, it was just a dressing down. It was almost like he wanted to be beat up. It's like he has this sort of desire to get kicked in the teeth for all these things that he has. Like he's definitely a blue pill alpha, Paul, but he's also I want to say self-flagellating. Like I think he enjoys getting like beat up over this kind of stuff, because I think he thinks that it proves that he is dedicated to his blue pillness, right? He's dedicated to his sense of commitment. And even when she's writing all this bullshit and how she's just still in love with Tupac, she fucked August Alsina, God knows who else, and she's still can't get over Tupac today. Talking about how they have been like living separate lives, lying their asses off for the last 7 to the public, and have been married, I think, 25 years now, 26 years now. And I talked about this on Sunday, and you just look at over the course of history, how she has, from day one, from the day that they were married, you can tell she just got the ick from Will fucking Smith, of all people. It's not, I mean, he's a Hollywood star. He's got he's got an Oscar to his name. He's fucking Will Smith. And yet here you have this woman who Will Smith is not good enough because the guy that she wanted to get with got shot and killed in Las Vegas.
Well, because it's like
the alpha widow. That's
I got a clip here. I sent it to Paul.
Yeah,
it's like, this is like what happened to Jada. Like, just
I'll play it here in a second. I just want to say though that
I'm using this right now because I think so many people can relate with it. Now, women are going to try to sweep it under the carpet because they want to say, "Oh, not all women are like that." They are by varying degrees.
Mm-hmm. Rolo, what is that Royce quote? Women will marry for, what was it? Not all women marry out of love. Some marry out of fear or out of safety.
FOMO. Yeah, marry out of FOMO.
Something like that.
Problem with Will Smith is it's not his physical attractiveness, because a lot of guys are like, oh, I got to be jacked, I got to have the 6-pack abs and stuff like that. It's his behavior. So the concept in the space of be attractive, don't be unattractive. He's being unattractive with his behavior. That's what's giving her the ick. Let me share this video that Glenn sent me here.
So this is Jada. This is literally what
this represents. Jada.
This represents Jada. Tupac talk gangster to me, Tupac.
And I'm going to get a copyright strike for that. That's great.
You're welcome. Yeah. But like what it is like I think it's like, we were talking about like girls like have this thing for bad boys, right? And then they want safe guys, but it's like they never want a good guy, or what would be considered a good guy, like a guy that has his shit together. They want the thrill, and then they want somebody that's going to be safe, right? But they don't want anything that's good.
I think there's a difference between and maybe we're splitting hairs, but good guy and nice guy, right? Nice guy behavior, stuff like covert contract type stuff that women don't want, that kind of stuff. The Captain Save-A-Ho type stuff, they don't want that kind of stuff.
But they'll settle for that, and then they regret it, and then they'll write a memoir about it years later.
Yeah, well, you're right, John. Go ahead.
They'll absolutely hate the guy later for not just not like him. Like there was a video like
because
Will
they
Smith and Jada, and the guy starts rubbing Will's back, and Will's like, "Oh, only a man knows what a man needs," and the look on her face was just contempt and like hate, like at this person.
Yep.
Before Cappy goes, I want to read this super chat here. $2 super chat from Nonstop Dre. Cappy was alpha widowed by Betty White. Then Vincent.
I was just gonna say this guy sucks. Am I right?
Concerned. It's a friend of mine, from my channel. I'm glad he stopped. Thanks for stopping by, Dre. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's helpful. Hey Jack, in the chat, there was a Hollywood celebrity that you wanted to talk about. Was it Pam or was it Jennifer Aniston?
Oh, Jennifer Aniston.
Oh boy.
Let's talk about her.
Even though like her I don't know if there's a lot of her out there of like being crazy or whatever, but I do remember her after Brad Pitt just staying single forever. Like she did the Cappy thing where it's like, nah, I've had Brad Pitt. It's kind of like try to find the guy who matches Brad Pitt in behavior, appearance, status, everything. And like how long is that ago since they went together? Like 20 years or something?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Now all of a sudden when was this, last year or something, an article came out that she was actually dating the actor from Ross from Friends, where it's like
Schwimmer? Schwimmer? Holy shit.
They reconnected or something like that. But yeah, Jennifer Aniston was just a great example of that, because you can find articles of her not even that long ago where she even mentioned it, where like, did you never want to have kids? It's like, well, not after Brad.
She talked about wishing she would have frozen her eggs and all this other stuff. Like she's had a few interviews where
She's got a lot of regret.
Like she is my age. She's 55 years old, and she
kept her promise.
I'll just tell you one thing about Jennifer Aniston. She is what all women have the potential to be. If she doesn't have babies and she doesn't she gets with a guy and she's still stays single and let's be honest, Jennifer Aniston is in menopause right now. Okay. That's exactly where she's at right now. But even still, she could still look and be Jennifer Aniston at 55 years old. Okay. Why? Because she didn't have kids, because she still held out hope against hope that shit was going to work out with Brad. And she's like, I got to stay hot for Brad. Or somebody like Brad. That's the effect of an alpha widow. When he's when my chance gets there, I'm in.
There's an interview between the two, right? Years later, there's this weird interview where Aniston even goes hey, Brad.
Yep, it's all about motivation and incentive.
A girl can be alpha widowed and not necessarily have to go down a fucking complete downward spiral where they're cutting their hair off and doing absolute crazy shit. Yeah. Right? Some women can keep their shit under wraps too, right? I mean,
if you look at Carmen and Electra, she got alpha widowed by Dennis Rodman.
And Dave Navarro from Jane's Addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She got alpha widowed twice. And you don't hear about her crazy ass. She got her shit she's cool.
That's actually a good point. Right? So Rolo, one of your maxims from the Player's Handbook is maxim 38. Alpha widows are born from deep conversion.
Mm-hmm.
A woman can experience an alpha widow experience, right, with this deep conversion stuff. But if she finds a guy that is better than that last guy, she could potentially be alpha widowed by the next guy, like the Dave Navarro situation.
Yeah,
it could go bigger. It's possible.
Is that accurate?
It is possible, and I'll tell you that it doesn't even have to be an actual dude. Okay, so here's the concept of the alpha widow is because women have a hypergamous nature. They're always having to answer this question: is he the best I can do? And if that answer is yes, then you get somebody like Eva Mendes and Ryan Gosling, where she says, I want to have his babies. I didn't want to have kids until I met Ryan fucking Gosling. And now I want little goslings, whatever. Yeah. I want these little goslings running around.
Like a duckling, but it's a gosling.
Yes, it's a gosling. Yes. Flexes on you. Look. But no, she didn't want to have kids until she met that guy. Right. So it's not that women can't meet their alpha, the guy who makes that most significant alpha impact. That's really what an alpha widow is. The guy that she can't get over is usually the guy that rocked her world in bed. It's the hot guy in the foam cannon party that she can't get over. It's the guy that somewhere along the line she was unable to lock that guy down, and now she's with the guy who's the next best thing. I guess he'll do, kind of thing, right? That's why women hate the word settle. Because they always think it's like they're like gambling addicts, right? Like the next pull of the slot machine, there might be, oh hey, Ryan Gosling might pop out, little goslings might pop out of the slot machine here, because if you want to make $1 million, if you want to be a millionaire, I'll give you some advice, some financial advice. You want to make $1 million, almost immediately, play on women's sense of FOMO, fear of missing out, and then some way mix that in to making them believe that they have more time in the sexual marketplace than they actually do. Those two, deadly combination. You will make all kinds of, you can make an app based on those two concepts. You'll be a multi-millionaire for exactly this reason here. Because even if that woman never experiences that really high end, uber alpha guy, she will create that guy in her head. That'll be Fabio. It'll be fucking Jason Momoa. It'll be Justin Waller, whoever she couldn't to give her the fucking time of day. She still thinks that she is, because of, and Cappy will probably back me up on this, because of this female sense of entitlement right now. They're all entitled to a Jason Momoa. They're all entitled to somebody better than the guy that they got with. So even the fantasy guy, it becomes the one that got away. So even if you're the guy who is like, say, you know, you're steady Eddie, you make a good paycheck, you provide this wonderful life for her, it doesn't matter, because women's sexual strategy is alpha fucks and beta bucks. Despite what David Buss and his stupid fucking mate switching theory says, they don't give two shits about that. In fact, Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith is an excellent example of the dual mating strategy and not this mate switching strategy whatsoever. But it could be a fantasy. It doesn't.
I think important thing to note is, for actionable advice, is how, you know, what is it? You know, it's not a woman's deliberate choice to choose the alpha, right? The alpha delivers some type of feelings. He hooks her. He gets her all worked up emotionally, and that's where she cements him as the ideal man for her, right?
Yeah, and I also think a good action.
It's Beauty and the Beast archetype is what it is.
So,
I think
men,
good,
it's not like,
good actionable
information.
information.
If he doesn't see me as an alpha, I'm fucked or whatever. You have to like provide the feelings. It's the feelings. It's the emotional roller coaster that the alphas provide that sinks that hook in deep.
Yeah, that's
some actual information. You can do anything to a woman but bore her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the actual information I wanted to get at, though, with asking Rolo that was that a lot of guys get this impression that, oh, she's alpha widowed, she's ruined forever. It's like, well, if you are better than that guy, then she's not.
There's a number of girls who will be alpha widowed when they're 14 or 15 by the high school guy.
Yeah, how easy is it to beat a fucking high school guy?
But yeah, exactly. Oh, he had a car with ground effects on it. Oh my God, like,
what a pussy!
He's so hot. But then they get to college and it's like, oh wow, this guy's pre-med, and then it's a new alpha guy, and then that doesn't work out. And they you know, if they get lucky, they'll be around the right people, and they'll meet another alpha later.
Hey guys, I got to get going. Thanks for having me on briefly.
Cappy, I'm going to be at your house this week. I'm just letting you know right now.
That's fine. Take a look at
Cappy,
it.
where can people find you? Where can people find you?
Asshole Consulting, but I got that closed down because I'm trying to finish the book before the end of the month. So I'll be more civil and social in November. But yeah, I'm just trying to crack this down before it gets too late in the season. But don't go, you know what? Don't come to my website. Go to Jack's website. I don't know if you guys knew this. Jack has a YouTube channel. I mean, he's on the internet. If you guys didn't know, Jack Napier actually does have a YouTube channel. So subscribe to him. Check him out.
Aw, thank you.
See you guys.
Throwing bones.
Now I can't be mean to him.
looking out for the next generation. That's
now I can't be mean to him.
Now we're all alpha widowed because Cappy left.
No,
got away.
Hey, we're not going to give him that much credit.
I know.
We're not going to give him that much credit.
Thor's probably alpha widowed some chicks. Thor, you want to chime in here? What Hollywood celebrity can you think of? And if you can, I got a whole list here. But what Hollywood celebrity?
I'm sure you do. I got my own list. It's a dark art to to overcome alpha widowing. I'll just say that it can be overcome for sure, but it's definitely a dark psychological art. I would recommend, if you want to overcome a woman that has alpha widowing, you must become a pro dom in the BDSM realm. That is one way to absolutely destroy her alpha widowing. But Rolo had probably the best quote from his old blog. What was it, Rolo? It was alpha widow is the mental fixation on the man who made the most significant impact on her monogamous ideal. That's the key to destroying her alpha widowing right there. And in fact, that would be the key to a guy that's actually dating an actual widow. I've witnessed actual widows that over time fantasize about their former husband that passed, and they make him an impossible ideal for any man to live up to.
Oh yeah,
have you seen that too, Rolo?
Yeah, I was also I've actually done, well, I haven't done full shows about this, but I've written about this, is that there's also the follow-on effect, which is the woman that ends up getting with the guy who's not the best she could have done, but she got with him because he's the one who can provide her with the English writing and the Amelia Earhart and this wonderful lifestyle. He can basically bankroll her luxurious lifestyle. Those women will tend, and I shit you not, will tend to name their first son after the guy, after the one that got away. They don't even know why they did it. They don't know why they're doing these things. They actually do. I mean, on some level of consciousness, they understand this. But if their former lover, like the guy that they're widowed from, his name was Dave, the kid's name will be David, right? So you will see that this, and by the way, this is like so I think probably prior to social media, this probably happened quite a bit, but like now, because we have more communication, we can say, I've seen these stories on Reddit, I've seen these stories on Twitter, I've seen these stories all over the place. So I did this one, I think I did like maybe like a 5-10 minute spot on one of my podcasts, and people go, dude, they all fixate on that. They go, dude, my ex did exactly the same thing. And then I'm seeing all these stories, and people start linking me to all these like dozens and dozens of stories about women who, when they get into a relationship with the guy, they will name their kids, especially it has to be male, right? Because they name the male child after the one that got away.
Isn't that crazy though, Rollo? I mean, look on Twitter and social media right now at all the guys somewhere in their late 20s and 30s named Thor.
God damn, man.
Rollo, you uploaded something here. You want me to share that?
Oh, that's the Eva Mendes thing. I just wanted to point that out.
Okay.
Kids were the first thing from my mind. Then Ryan Gosling happened. I mean, falling in love with him. Then it made sense for me to have not kids, but his kids. It was very specific to him. This is what I'm talking about. So when everybody says, what are you talking about when it comes to this is it right here.
Got it. Okay. So speaking of the actual widow situation, we got a super chat from Nuclear Caudillo here.
Is Ryan Gosling really that fucking sexy? I don't get it, but I mean, maybe she does.
I love Nuke, but she's a real widow too.
Yeah. So Terry Irwin, Steve Irwin's wife, is the ultimate alpha widow. Hold on, I'm just gonna.
Absolutely.
I'm just gonna get this.
Steve Irwin is
just
the
gonna say
man.
this guy fucks. Am I right?
Yep.
Everybody loves. You all smack you in the face. You don't like Steve Irwin.
Yep.
Yeah. And you can't. You just got to give that to her too.
I fought on a card in Australia. And there was a Australian fighter there who used to work security for Steve Irwin. And he used to talk about how he would get all excited about jiu-jitsu and wrestling around, whatever. And he had a little mat space, and he would have his guys work with them. So I couldn't imagine Steve Irwin grabbing on somebody like he does the alligators or whatever, and like start wrestling around with them. It was
Put
just
his
a cool
thumb
story.
up his ass.
Crikey.
Okay. So Jack shared this one. This is what actually happened on the Titan. Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Had to do it.
All right.
My son? Was that my son showing his cards off?
That was the only photo.
And
of
all
him
and all the
playing
bitches,
online.
all the bitches love Pokemon, guys. Or what was
Oh.
that? Were those Pokemon? What, I don't know. I don't do that sort of thing. We got Angelina Jolie here to Billy Bob Thornton.
Bob.
She used to carry a vial of his blood.
Blood round.
Dude, that bitch is just crazy. I'm not sure I would use her as an example, but go ahead.
But then if you think about Angelina Jolie, then you got to go like Megan Fox took it a step further. Her and fucking Machine Gun Kelly drink each other's blood.
Whoa.
All these chicks are
That's a weird. That's I don't know. All
Yeah,
her kids are all her kids are
Like, you can carry a
trans.
vial, that's
Like,
cute. but
that's
you
a whole
drink
big
your
mess.
blood, you know, like
But I mean, like
It's the adrenochrome, right?
that's the genuine desire, right? Right, Rollo? The
Yes.
genuine desire is like a
It's-
chick
I mean,
that'll
okay,
change
look
your
at
religion for you, the
So-
one that will drink your blood.
Who will drink
That's
your
the thing, though. I don't see Machine Gun Kelly leading that
He's got it.
relationship.
Yeah.
I
You're
think
supposed to make them swallow something else.
Yes.
well, you know, like I think like they wear the same outfits. You know, they wear the
well,
same
that's what I'm
dresses
saying.
and
Like,
stuff.
I don't think Machine Gun Kelly is not leading that relationship. He's
No.
being told what to do. Like, it's not him telling her to drink his blood. It's like
Yeah, I'm
he's
so-
going along for whatever crazy
So,
shit. She's
I don't buy into this shit, okay? But I will say it. I'm just gonna give you guys a gold star here. This is some like occult shit, okay? Like the vial of blood around the thing, and then like I didn't even think about this until Anthony Bourdain committed suicide, which was no shit. But then I realized that Asia Argento and like Rose McGowan and all these other bitches, they are into some of this Wicca stuff, like as above, so below kind of stuff. Like they are really serious. Like they're LARPing like fuck, but like the fact that they all think that this is legit, that's how you get vials of fucking blood. I'm gonna drink his blood. Like it sure ain't because Machine Gun Kelly is the most masculine guy in the world. Let's just be honest, okay? But like maybe that's like part of their sisterhood shtick. I don't know, but it's again, I don't think there's anything to it. I think it's LARPing. I think it's all bullshit. I think they believe it, but
makes good headlines.
Let's just say that there's a few like things that aren't coincidence and all that.
I mean, MGK has a pretty interesting style, but I just hate his music. I just can't listen to it. It's like,
dude, if I see Machine Gun Kelly on the street, I would punch him in his face. I'd fight him. You know why? Because all that bullshit he said about Slipknot, I will fuck him up right there on the spot.
Exactly.
Say about Slipknot.
You can say whatever you want. You keep Slipknot.
I forgot about that. Hit me up with it.
He won't talk shit about Insane Clown Posse and the Jugalos. No, he won't talk shit about Guar, but he will talk shit about Slipknot. No, I'll beat your ass for that, dude.
You know what's funny? He's like,
I'll have a video camera watching the whole damn thing.
You guys think
Rolo will walk up on
Sean
stage
Connery,
and slap him in the face.
You think
Hit me up
Sean
when that
Connery,
happens, Rolo.
Alpha
We'll
Widow,
change
Catherine Zeta-Jones?
Sean Connery?
Sean Connery.
Not Sean Connery. Sean Connery. No, the other guy.
No, it's Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas.
No, that's who she was with after Sean Connery. She was married to Sean Connery first.
Catherine Zeta-Jones was married to Sean Connery.
In 99.
The Sean Connery.
The Sean Connery.
I know they did what Entrapment. They did the movie Entrapment together. So
Say that again, Jack.
Sean Connery.
See? Oh man. See, that's why chicks love you. That's why I follow.
A little slap. Just a little slap.
It's not just the cards, man. It's the
Well,
accent.
do you think that could have been like an Alpha Widow situation where she got Alpha Widow by Sean? I mean, it's Sean Connery, right? And then
Sean Connery.
And then she gets with the next best thing, which would be Michael Douglas, who's pretty alpha himself. Maybe like she,
like older
she
dude.
leveled up.
She was happy to sign that prenup with Michael Douglas. I'll tell you that.
Actually, after Michael Douglas, you barely saw her on TV anymore.
That's true.
She's been in a few movies. I think she was like in one of the Mission Impossibles or something like that. And she had a small role.
Yeah, but she hasn't been like a leading character since she got married. So I don't know. I think if anything,
that's been like 20 years.
Not sure.
She might have. Yeah, she might have. But she basically gave up her career for Michael Douglas. So
Sean Connery left that mushroom-shaped rash on her forehead.
Hey, Will, I got a question for you.
When she misbehaves,
I got a question, guys. I want to pose it to you. I got kind of this hypothesis that I think that famous women really kind of disqualify themselves from good long-term relationships because the amount of attention that gets thrown at them. What do you say about that?
I think that can be. I think.
Can you expand on that, Jack?
Entitlement.
Maybe not so much with Jack.
What kind of attention? Because like every girl gets hit up in the DMs and blah blah blah, and even though she gets all that attention from the DMs and she's still with you, then why bother about the DMs? Like, look, one thing is very clear. If she's going to cheat, she's going to cheat anyway.
Correct.
Assume, don't obsess. But every chick is getting attention. And if she's a celebrity, it comes with the job, I guess, kind of thing. Know what I'm saying? Like, if you are going to date a celebrity, then you're going to have to live with the fact that she's going to get all kinds of attention. From there on, the only thing you can do is look at her behavior. How is she treating you? Like, is she enthusiastic about you? Is she making sure she stays in contact with you? Is she keeping you updated on everything? Or is she distant, far away, not hitting you up? You name it. So
the evidence that I point to is the ones that actually increase their fame after some sort of relationship tend to drag their relationship on the rocks. Whether it's by absence, whatever it might be. I mean, the ones that get the most famous and pursue their career literally seem to disqualify themselves from having any good long-term relationships. But the ones that tend to get into relationships and seem quite happy, what do they do with their career? They disappear. They go and raise kids. At least that's my observation over the decades that I've been watching.
You're muted, Rolo.
There's also the Beyonce effect. Who has a lot of success, still has a lot of success, but the fact is that she didn't leave when her man cheated.
Well, there you go. He's alpha.
Yeah, there you go. So I want to. So
is that
Rolo,
the underlying common denominator?
Rolo, you're muted.
Yeah, Rolo, you're muted.
Rolo?
I didn't mute him. I tried to unmute him. I can't.
I bet. Sorry,
I should understand why. But
let me point out this as well is that Eva Mendes, when she met Ryan Gosling, she was like already after 40. So just throwing that out there. The incentive might have something to do with that.
by the way, Connery, Connery and Zeta were not married, turned out.
Oh.
He just
They weren't married?
He just
No, they
banged her.
weren't. Glenn.
He
Fake
just knocked the
news.
bottom out of that. That's all. That's all.
No, I got this one right here. It says that they were married in 99.
What does Wikipedia say? That's the authority. That's
People
hey,
on the internet don't lie.
I wanted to add here some misconceptions. So Rolo's original post, I think it was his original post, had some things where people had some misconceptions. One of them was alpha widows. People think that alpha widows are the result of players who fiendishly use these poor impressionable women before they left them high and dry, right? So like a trauma issue, and that's not necessarily true, right? It's usually a positive experience.
No, and I can easily dispel that one for you, as I already did. Women can be alpha widowed by a fantasy of a guy too.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be an actual dude. Okay. You want to know why romance novels have always been the number one and still are the number one genre of literature for women? Because of that what it does is it artificially stimulates that indignation, that desire to sort of figure a guy out and have that guy like love them exactly the way they wanted to. And it's usually the same. This is no secret. Romance literature has always been pornography for women in the sense that it follows the same script over and over. And we're talking as far back as like Emily Bronte and Jane Eyre. And like, you're going back like way back in time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Pride and Prejudice, same formula. Okay. Sense and Sensibility, same formula. And yes, I have read those books before because I fucking read. Okay. But they follow exactly the same formula. There's usually one guy who is you ever hear that song by Spin Doctors, Two Princes? You know, there's the guy who's the well-heeled rich guy who's got a lot of money, represents this really fantastic lifestyle. And then there's the pauper, right? Then there's the happy-go-lucky schmuck who has this very exciting life that she's really into and she wants to get with him. And they're really both would have been, if you could put them both together, they'd be the perfect dude, but they never are. So what women try to do when they are in their most attractive years is they try to get Tarzan and tame Tarzan to turn him into who will in the future be like Beauty and the Beast. Like he'll be the prince, right? They want Tarzan to be it's a civilization narrative that is overplayed over and over again. And you'll see it constantly in romance novels. That's why you see Fabio and you still see like the big, they're on roids, right? Like, and they got long hair and it's like the pirate who loved me kind of thing. And there's different variations of it, very themes of it, but the same plot devices are used over and over again. It's also why, The Bachelor is in its 28th season right now, because it stimulates that need to figure the guy out, turn him into the perfect dude, and then lock him down. That's the alpha widow fantasy. He's the guy that couldn't be locked down. So how do we justify this? How do we how do women resolve this? They do it through fantasy. They do it through romance literature that is the same fucking story over and over again. They do it through The Bachelor. They do it through daytime talk shows. They do it through look at all the different ways that women try to artificially stimulate a sense of indignation, or they try to sort of live in this. Remember how we always talk about how guys obsessed with their escapes, right? It's like playing World of Warcraft, or they're like lost in video games, or they're lost in whatever it is. And because their escape in their fantasy world is better, that they're better than their shitty life, right? Their shitty life sucks, so they spend all of their time in their escapes. The same thing applies to women as well. And it doesn't even have to be a real guy. It could be Fabio on the cover of the romance novel. So when people say, oh, well, these women will just leave me for the next best thing, that's the problem. Is like, you don't understand. You have to be that dude. You have to be the one. You have to be her drug dealer, essentially, because that's what the indignation is. Indignation stimulates this chemical cocktail inside of women so that they feel like something. Right? They want to know that they want to know that the hypergamous filter or their feminine intuition or whatever it is, they want to feel like it's still working. That's why The Bachelor is in its 28th season right now. It's been effectively, pragmatically, systematically stimulating whatever that gland is, that the indignation hormone or whatever it is. That's why it's so successful. That's why romance novels are so successful, because women enjoy feeling indignation. They enjoy that. It's not about the nail, Jack. It's about the want to be heard and to experience it over and over and over again. And again, you're right. It's also the roller coaster effect. They want to feel like they're in actual danger. They want to feel as if like then around the next turn, the car's going to shoot over the side of the railing and they're going to go plummeting. But at the last minute, there's going to be a fucking parachute that some guy put on their back before they, fall to their deaths. They want to feel that, but then they also want that safety and that security as well. That's why you get the guy who's the alpha guy, who's the, alpha fucks and the beta bucks. Would be great if you could put them together, but never the twain shall meet, especially in the 21st century.
So there's a comment in the whatever comment section. Motorcycle Harry says, us men never get over the hottest chick we ever had. Also, I disagree.
I did.
I can't even remember most of the girls I've hooked up with. Like, no, like the hot girl in front of me is the one I'm thinking about. Like, no.
There's ways to do it. I mean, it's sometimes for guys, it does take longer than others, but actually,
why that's bullshit.
Like, yeah, especially if I got one hot chick, I know that I can get another one. So like, no, unless you are not, you have no game and you can't get women at all. And you just stumbled into something.
Paul
you got lucky at the cannon party in Cancun, the foam cannon party.
Paul Benjamin did a whole show on how to get over women very quickly. Guys, check out his channel. He's not here today. He's saving the world. But
can we go back to the indignation part real quick?
Sure. I will explain to you why that's bullshit, but let's continue.
Right after Jack.
The guy in the commercials, Jack, is named Jack as well, or did I miss something? But this is why you don't have to worry when your spouse wants an argument, right? Because you can use that in your advantage, where it's like, look, emotions are hard and heavy right now and everybody's emotional, but it is an emotional high. It might be a bit negative and everybody's angry, but it is still something. At least it's not boring. Yeah. Or am I wrong in that one?
No, you're right. Emotional impact is
emotional. No, damn it.
Yes. Yeah, that's what that is. No, it's so let me see if I can dispel this one too. The idea that, well, men do it too. No, we don't. And I'll tell you why, because men do not have the same emotional investment in sex that women do. Period. End of story. Because women biologically have a greater investment have a greater reproductive cost in fucking a guy. Right. That's what the whole thing that we're talking about when I was mentioning Rose on the Titanic, or I'm mentioning the Bachelor, stimulating that indignation. At the very least, in Titanic, as fucked up as this is going to sound, it resolves. Okay. When you look at like romance literature and you look at like the Bachelor, that's churn marketing. So it's constantly re-stimulating that shit because it never really quite resolves, because there's always another season of The Bachelor. So you can go back through that again. Whereas like the Titanic, it was a beautiful love story where they're gone, right? Spoiler alert: the ship sinks.
No way.
Wait, what?
yeah. But the long and the short of that is like most guys, if they are pining for some chick that got away, it's because they don't fuck. It's because they don't have sexual opportunity, and they're still thinking about, like, guys, when they get into a situation with the hottest girl they've ever had, right? I've had to deal with this effect ever since I started doing this stuff. I'll get a guy who will he'll be this blue pill beta ass loser. He'll start reading the book. We'll start working with the guy, and he gets to the point where he can finally get his dream girl, right? Dream girls and children with dynamite. He gets his dream girl, and he's like, "Okay, Rolo, thanks, man. I got the chick. I got the girlfriend. She kissed me. I'm 30 years old, and she wants to fuck me, and she sucked my dick, and she kissed me. Mission accomplished. Thanks, Rolo. See you later. Bye."
And then they fall back on old programming.
That's the guy who's going to come back to me like within a year, who's going to go, "Oh, I can't believe she loved me. Oh, she was the hottest chick. I'm going to kill her off myself," because they may have learned game, and they may have learned like how to get the girl, but they don't know what to do afterwards. And they're so like wrapped up in the moment that they're getting with this girl. And so now they're kind of obsessed about it. And the reason why they're obsessed, or the reason why guys get one-itis, the reason why guys subscribe to the soulmate myth, is because guys don't fuck. 80% of guys are unattractive. If you take one of those guys from the 80 percentile and you put them into the 20 percentile and you give them a chance, you give them one fucking shot, and they get their shot, they are going to move heaven and earth to stay with that chick. They will, as I said, women are dream killers, but not because they're maliciously dream killers. It's because guys will kill their dreams because they will do anything to facilitate the relationship with the hottest girl they ever got with, who might have been the first girl they ever got with. So in that sense, yeah, guys will fixate on that. But the long and the short of it is you're not rubbing one out to Pornhub right now because you're like so invested emotionally in these girls and you just keep coming back to the same girl all the time and stroking off, right? No, you move on from one to the next, to the next, to the next, because guys inherently, the way our brains are the architecture of our brains, our endocrine, system and everything else, we don't have the same like emotional investment because we know we can we hit it and ejaculate and evacuate, right? That's the male mating strategy. And given, in a perfect world, which porn happens to give us unlimited access to unlimited sexuality, that's what we'll do. So anytime somebody throws that one at me, I go, just go look at Pornhub and look at all the different varieties of porn and the niche porn, and you can see that it's just nonsense.
Just to piggyback off what Rolo said, and then I'll throw it over here to Thor. I see so many guys in the space that will read the books. They will do a little bit of the work to get the dream girl.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get the dream girl, and then they fall back on old programming because you cannot undo 20, 30, 40 years of bad programming in just a couple of weeks, months, or years.
Well,
it's a constant
you're bombarded by constant shit test also.
Right.
Well, it's also
and if you have a weak frame, if you haven't really fortified your frame, those shit tests end up, slowly changing. It's a death by 1,000 cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they also think that they can make
you've got to make it a part of who you are. Just throwing this out there for Ryan since he can't make it.
He never job.
They also try to go take the red pill to get their blue pill dreams, right? They'll go purple pill. They're like, oh, I got the one. I got the girl.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna see if I can make this, happen. And then they do this whole purple pill nonsense, and then they find themselves in the same position that they were when they were blue pill.
Now there is a way to use this red pill stuff to have healthy monogamous relationships. There's all sorts of materials available in the married red pill space if that is your goal. But yeah, you can't use this stuff to get a girl and then go back to your blue pill ideology bullshit. It's just not reality. Thor, you had a question about Will and Jada.
I did. I want to go down a rabbit hole in a narrative. When Will slapped Chris Rock, we all speculated. My gut instinct told me this was a setup. But, at least we know now that it was contrived, right?
Yes, we do.
For sure. So, score one for us on that one. Now, looking back, what is the next steps here? Could it be that Will, since she's out there talking about all this Tupac stuff, that Will comes out and starts to proclaim the self-righteous beta that Tupac has actually damaged her, and players like that are evil and damage women. And therefore, at some point, Jada makes a redemption arc. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
Prodigal daughter returneth.
That's your prediction, Thor? Within the next 6 months,
throw that shit on the wall and see what sticks.
Not going to happen. She's too prideful.
Way too prideful, and she's got too many you-go girls behind her.
Well, at least Will come out there and be the self-righteous beta that says, Tupac just ruined her. He destroyed her. I tried to save her. Did my best.
I don't know. I see him like falling on his sword and being like the Steve Harvey. I wasn't good enough.
Another one.
I wasn't a good enough man for her.
I failed.
I failed. I see that. I don't see him blaming Tupac because one, it doesn't do him any good because Tupac's legacy is still forever, right?
Maybe not Tupac, but the player type.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, Will Smith was that player type in the 90s before he got married with his wife. He was like the soft pop version of Tupac. He was that playboy. So, I just think that he's going to say that he wasn't a good enough man.
You think he was really in real life the guy from Bad Boys?
No, he was.
No, I don't think he was Mike Lowry.
He
wasn't Mike Lowry, yeah. But he was fresh priggy. Okay,
okay,
priggy.
We got some super chats here. Let's go through these real quick. $2 super chat from SJ. Seriously, why bother? Date someone else. # jazz hands. I'm gonna say
that is the most pragmatic.
Horse people, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't chase movies.
We got the $5 super chat from Afi. Blessings to the panel. Had the pleasure of meeting and talking to you all. Much love, guys. I'm gonna give him this one.
Who's the master?
That's my bud. That's my nephew, Offie.
Afi, and then we got Siege D with a $9.99 super chat. Rolo, on your S&B graph for men, the horizontal line between 22 and 23 is me and my brother. We both got hit hard, and we're working on getting back up, but it's still so accurate. Hold on, we got this one.
I was just gonna say it. This guy fucks. Am I right?
Yeah, for $9.99. This guy definitely.
Yeah, well, sometimes you don't get no holes, man.
And then we just got another one here. Unrealized thoughts for $5. I noticed some anime has a habit of having the protagonist get beaten and belittled by girls, and fanboys think that's how it should be in real life.
Mm-hmm.
The fuck you watching?
Yeah, what?
Go watch Berserk.
Smoke anime.
Yeah.
Go watch old Robotech and look at Roy Fokker. That dude fucked.
Yeah. So how bad are they going to mess up Rebel Moon there,
this
Jack?
guy fucks. Am I right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Roy Fokker.
All right, thanks for that, guys. All right, let's see who we got. We got a whole list here. We've got
Lee and Pamela Anderson.
Someone asked me why is Olivia Rodrigo on the cover, and I said I had her on the cover because she got alpha widowed by Joshua Bassett and made a whole song about good for you, right? Good for you, happy without me. That song. You guys ever heard that? It was really big on TikTok. That's why she's on the cover. We've got Diane Keaton was alpha widowed by Jack Nicholson, and possibly Angelica Houston was also alpha widowed by Jack Nicholson. You guys hear about any of that?
Did Nicholson eventually have kids or no? Nicholson never had kids, did he?
I don't think so.
I think so.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe not.
Because there's this rumor going around that Nicholson was the one who told DiCaprio, like, kid, never get married, don't have kids, just switch him out.
Here's one that I disagree with. This one says Kim Kardashian to Kanye. I think Kanye got alpha widowed.
No, it was Ray J. Ray J turned Kim out. All right, that's where the first sex tape came from. She got turned out by Ray J.
I don't even think that that was a production. Like her mom helped her produce that porno. They shot it several times to get the best version to release.
What?
Nicholson has 6 kids.
Yeah. The mother helped her out. It was like they shot that porn a few times to get the final one to leak it.
So at least now we know where Adam 22 took his lessons from.
Well, I mean, Adam
We call
22
that a
is
fucking
about
fake
to
baby
be.
now too, because now I guess they're like auditioning for like some big old gangbang.
No, they already got the guys for it. They got 5 dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that should give Daily Wire like pundits something to talk about for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's
They
the
got-
happy
they got
traditional marriage that they're
real to
talking
talk about for a while.
Is that show still happening, Rollo, with Michael Knowles?
No, it's not. I'm not signing his fucked up NDA, and Mr. Producer there knows exactly why.
Lame. Not from your end.
I don't sign NDAs after Dr. Phil. Fuck off. Go fuck yourself. No, you need me more than I need you if I'm signing NDAs. So go fuck yourself.
Did they cut that Dr. Phil show up so much then?
The first one they did a good job. The second one, I think they tried. I think they learned from their mistakes and they tried to dice up the second one. But even I'll tell you what's funny is like I thought the second one was not as good as the first one, but I had a lot more feedback on the second one, and people said I really took him to the fucking woodshed on that one too. So I was like, oh, you shouldn't have.
Oh, and then he retired. So job well done.
Yeah. Well, I can't talk about it until 2024 because that's when the season is officially over, and then I'm released from the NDA.
Oh, do you know there's a good one? Unrealized thoughts. What about J-Lo? And you know, she's been around. Like, didn't she end up? Is she with
what's his name?
Ben Affleck. Is she Ben Affleck?
Yeah, she's back with Affleck.
Yeah. So it's like
examples we can use.
She went from Diddy to Ben Affleck, then left Ben Affleck, got with A-Rod, and they were together for a while.
You done fucked up, A-Ron.
A-Ron. And now she's back with Ben Affleck. That's wild.
All right.
Batfleck.
I got on the list too. Who's on the cover or on the thumbnail? Alanis Morissette with Dave Goulier.
God.
Really?
Yeah, David Goulet. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Did
what
she
that
write
song
that
was
song?
about.
Well, you know, it's funny is like everybody jokes about like Taylor Swift, like she gets into a relationship with a guy, breaks up with him, and that's the source of the next song that she talks about. So she like goes through this process of alpha widow so she can write hit songs.
So each next guy with Taylor is the alpha.
Pretty much.
Next alpha.
Kelsey,
Yeah.
or
Quite an industry
Kelsey,
there.
the guy from the Chiefs is going to be her next inspiration.
They'll help her get over John Mayer. John Mayer's like really fucked her up bad.
Okay, so here's one that we can
that guy
wildly
after that. Now I like him.
here's one we can wildly speculate on. Winona Ryder, was it Rob Lowe or Johnny Depp?
Oh, Johnny.
I gotta say Johnny Depp for this one.
Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp has more alpha gravitas than Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe has kind of like creep vibes to him.
Yeah.
He was, I think Rob Lowe was much more attractive to women in like the 80s. You know, he was kind of like bad boy Rob Lowe. And now he's kind of he's sort of the.
I would agree with that right up until the sex scandal stuff came out with him and underage chicks.
Oof.
And then he got Ick Factor on him.
Ooh.
Ah.
Ooh.
We got another super chat. Alex Patino, $10 super chat. He says, going back to literature, I've noticed that even in science fiction, the guy meets the girl who just happens to be good at everything while the guy is struggling in order to try to qualify to the girl.
Yeah, what science fiction you read?
I was just gonna say it. This guy fucks. Am I right?
That's that's basically the new Star Wars, isn't it? Like, was it
new Star Wars and Star Trek? Yeah,
that's like everything in fucking Hollywood right now.
What's the black guy's character in that?
Finn.
Yeah, Finn's the one who's like, "Ooh, what's the lightsaber? I'm gonna cut my hand off."
Yeah, and the girl's like, "Give me that."
Like she's been using it her whole life.
This is the work for a real woman. Yeah,
There is.
Well, that's the narrative that it's not just in films that we see being like all these guys, the blue pill guys, like dating coaches are saying the same thing. You need to earn her respect. You need to earn this. You need to prove yourself. You got to do all these things. She's this, and you got to be the man. It's like you
got to learn how to use a lightsaber. She already knows how to use it.
Yeah, it's like you have to. It's just a narrative that's been being sold, not just in Hollywood, but in evangelical cultures, in our regular culture. It's the same narrative. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so easy for guys to buy into it, because you go in Hollywood, you hear it. You go to church, you hear it. You listen to pop music, you hear it. Like it's just
one might call it a gynocentric central order.
Social order.
Or social order. Yeah, social order. My bad.
You're right. You're right in the sense that like it's trickled over into so many other arenas now, like other areas. So what you're saying about like these guys who are like the pickup artists, so the new NU pickup or NU PUAs, right? Or even in evangelical cultures right now, it's like women are already at this level and you're always at this level. And if you want to have a real successful relationship, you have to get at least a little bit closer to her. It's exactly the same thing. We have this bumbling idiot who doesn't know how, and he needs her to save him from himself, right? I don't know what to do with the lightsaber, you know, but she does, right? So it's really it's this narrative through whether it's pop culture or if it's popular media or it's music or it's religion or it's at school or it's in psychology. Women have this goddess whatever like power of authority and competency, and you're a bumbling fucking idiot, and until you can measure up to her greatness, you don't even belong in the same fucking room as any woman. And so when you see that as like Finn and Rey or whatever, the science fiction that was the example right there, that's just one way of reinforcing that narrative over and over and over again. So that's why you get it in the church, that's why you get it in movies, that's why you get it everywhere else.
They even did it in the new Super Mario Brothers movie. It's like, oh god.
Well, it's also
well, you guys do realize we did an episode on this just about a year ago. We called it it was the death of the Hollywood hero. And in Hollywood, they actually have something called the Bechdel score, which all the big distribution companies require. And requires the females that are in leading roles speaking to each other, shown heroically. There's a whole list of this stuff. Don't believe me? Google it, find out. And now it's put over into culture for the last 10 years.
Journey.
Yeah.
It's part of the man's hero's journey now to become the guy for her. You know what I'm saying? Like You want her, you have to level up and be that guy for her because she's
a lot of
already
the stories don't
perfect
even have them
waiting for you.
leveling up. You know, like it starts young. Like I have my kids and I read them books, and like the Wimpy Kid Diaries or whatever, they're popular. I can't stand those books. There's no lessons learned. The kids in no way level up. They don't get anything. It's just luck and stupidity and cowardice. I hate it. I'm so happy that Jack Llewellyn came out with the whatever. He has the Warrior Kid books. Like those are awesome. That's great. Read those things to your kids.
Read them Golden Era.
So bombarded with those Wimpy Kid things are everywhere. There is no like hero arc. There is no like achievement. It's all like we just got lucky and the thing happened.
just get really good comic books from the Golden Era and the Silver Era and just read those to your kids. That's all you really have to do.
There you go.
Anything
go back to the old. I like to show my kids like masculine. Macho movies from the 80s. Like those were good. Those were man movies. Did any of you guys see the new Expendables?
No.
Yes, it sucked.
Oh, it's fucking horrible. I
every
typically
minute of it.
I like the Expendables movies because it's just like a testosterone fest, but this one wasn't. They made Megan Fox like the team lead. Like there's no way that you're gonna believe that Megan Fox is a team lead of some fucking commandos. You're just
Didn't I tell you about that before I saw it? Did I tell you like it sucked?
No.
The first 5 minutes of that movie.
Watch the Black Widow movie.
The first 5 minutes of that movie, you literally see like Megan Fox act like a modern day woman.
Fuck, what's it called?
When he knocks on the door, and then they're fighting.
Right.
An actual fun movie film that came out recently is Fortune by Guy Ritchie with Jason Statham.
Fortune.
Fortune by Guy Ritchie. Came out last year. That's actually pretty cool. That's actually pretty dope. Like Statham is still a badass, shit like that. He has an assistant who is
natural,
gives him a bit of banter, but not in the way where he is reduced to less so she can be more. It's actually fun.
Fun fact: Jason Statham's not 6 feet tall, guys.
No, he's like 5'7".
Yeah. His girlfriend, she's taller.
Yeah, she fucking loves the shit.
How tall Dan Bilzerian is?
5'6",
5'7".
Yeah,
really?
5'7", 5'8", somewhere in there.
Did you guys see the movie? Remember Live Free and Die Hard with Bruce Willis?
Oh, yeah, that's actually my favorite one.
Same here. Remember the part when he kicks Maggie G's like ass and like kicks her down the elevator or whatever?
Yeah.
And he's like gets on the phone like, "Oh, you looking for that kicking bitch?" Yeah.
That was the best one of that whole series. We
got another 4 or 3.
That was 4 because there's 5 of them.
Yeah.
Which one is the one with Samuel L. Jackson? That's 3.
That's number 2.
That's no, that's 3.
Is it 3? Yeah.
The first 2 are Christmas movies. They both take place at Christmas. The second one was at the airport. Siege D sent a $4.99 super chat. Thank you. So we don't have to talk about the cuck article. Shout out to Ryan. To Jen from the block, we talk about movies because they affect our culture. Yeah.
I was just gonna say it. This guy fucks. Am I right?
Chat. Here's one going back to what we were talking about before with actual widows. Courtney Love, Kurt Cobain.
Oh God.
Oh,
good example, but I don't
necessarily murdered him.
Think she's well, I know maybe
she murdered him.
Oh well, yeah, but she was certainly the catalyst for his suicide for sure.
Did you? There's a whole documentary about like.
Do you think she?
The way the shotgun was, it was like the wrong hand would have fired it. Like there's no way he would not kill himself. Sorry.
Oh man, I remember that
murdered.
theory. I remember that theory, John. But in all honesty, no, man. I mean, the guy had a crippling heroin addiction. He probably had stomach cancer or something because he always had a stomach ache. Then he had Courtney, and then the biggest argument they have for like it being a murder is the dual handwriting. I can tell you, if you have mood swings, your handwriting changes. So, yeah, from a guy who's addicted to heroin, that isn't a big surprise that his handwriting changes. So,
her the behind the scenes stories about her in the movie or in the book, The Game, are hilarious. Like she was,
yeah.
She was
Neil Strauss. That's how Neil Strauss met his first wife. With Nita Strauss. Well, I mean, her wasn't Nita then. She's actually a pretty decent guitar player now. She's moved on and does studio work I think she's playing for Alice Cooper now. I'm not really sure.
Nice.
But I remember that. I remember those years. But the as far as one thing I've noticed is like whenever, and maybe this is kind of like a side note here, but whenever I see a high profile guy commit suicide, if a woman is involved, the first response from the sisterhood is to try to absolve her of any blame or any participation or any involvement, association with that guy putting a noose around his neck. The same thing happened with Anthony Bourdain. Rose McGowan, who now hates Asia Argento, right? She didn't then, and everyone and their mother came out in support of Asia Argento, because they didn't want anyone to think that she in any way was the catalyst for Anthony Bourdain putting a noose around his neck because she was photographed by paparazzi in Italy with some 29-year-old boy toy that she was fucking at the same time, went up to the photographer and says, please don't publish these. It will destroy Anthony Bourdain. And it did. And she knew it was going to. And later on, now that we've seen the real documentaries about that whole thing, we understand that she didn't put the noose around his neck, but she was the catalyst in that. And what happens is when that happens, women will come out in droves to say, it wasn't her. She didn't. It was Xanax. He was depressed. He had something else. Like if it wasn't for toxic masculinity and men going and getting therapy and talking about their fucking feelings, right, then he would still be alive. It's not her fault. It's not her fault. It's not her fault. Bullshit. Her actions were the catalyst for that, for a guy who was pretty much imbalanced and was still like, subscribing to his soulmate one-itis bullshit. But she knew it. She knew it well enough to go and tell the guy, the photographer, not to publish them. The same thing you could say about, like, say, Courtney Love. Like, Courtney Love was a domineering bitch who needed somebody like Kurt Cobain to actually kick off her, like to make her something more than she was in whole at the time. And look where she is now. Nowhere. Because she needed that. She needed Kurt Cobain and his legacy to actually ensure her future. And she did. Mission accomplished. In fact, do you remember what she said at his funeral, or when she was making the announcement that he had killed himself? She was pissed off at him. She's like, you son of a bitch, you killed your, like, she was angry at Kurt Cobain for allegedly killing himself. Right. That's what I'm talking about, because she doesn't want anyone to think that she had any kind of involvement in being sort of the catalyst or the motivator for him to off himself.
Or actually pulling the trigger, according to John. There.
It's also like a good one is what Unrealized Thoughts said. You remember like the Power Rangers? Like,
no, I don't actually. That's Jack's forte. Jack,
I remember the Power Rangers.
Jack, Power Rangers.
I remember the Power Rangers. Not a huge fan of them. A couple of my friends are, but I do know what he's talking about. Like the guy who used to play the White Power Ranger. He got in a fight with his wife.
First of all, he was the Green Ranger, and his name was Tommy. He was Tommy the Green Ranger first. Then he became the White Ranger. Let's get it right.
Well, sorry for being politically incorrect. The Caucasian Ranger.
Hey, everybody, I'm from Holland. Isn't that weird?
Rolo, some people
now.
Some people are into that. So, he offed himself because he had a fight with his wife. I don't know if you know more about that, Glenn.
No, they were separating and they got a divorce, or whatever, and then he offed himself.
Oh, Jesus!
So they offed himself because of the divorce. But it's like, bro, you're right. Like, people don't. You could say the guy that has toxic masculinity or doesn't go to counseling, whatever. Sure, he may have symptoms, he may have problems, whatever. But the catalyst is what the wife puts him through the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, men need to get help. Okay, how about this? Fixed women, then men wouldn't need to get help.
Well, I mean, you can look at it on a larger scale, because every time I point out to blue-haired cucks as well as women that men off themselves at 8 times the rate that they normally would, which is anywhere between 3.5 to 5 times the rate, but they off themselves at 8 times the rate after a divorce. It's one of the reasons why I'm working on this new program with Joe Marin right now for MOA, where we're talking about like helping guys sort of reintegrate themselves back into the sexual marketplace at 45 to 65 right now. So we're actually doing something about this. But that was one of the principal points for us, like coming together and putting this whole program together, was because of this desire on the part of women to sort of absolve themselves of anything that has to do with men offing themselves. They don't want anyone to think that they would in any way be associated or linked as a catalyst to men offing themselves as a result of a divorce or being zeroed out or being the instigator of being zeroed out. And so you will see women who will come up and they'll it's every excuse, every rationale in the book, right? Oh, he was depressed. He was a piece of shit. He was an abuser. He lost his job. He. Anything that has to do with him, not her actions, his actions are always what, and then it's, even if it's not, then it's toxic masculinity. He didn't go to therapy. If he'd gone to therapy, if he just talked about his feelings a little bit more, if he'd become a more perfected woman, then he wouldn't have offed himself, and we would all be much happier as a result. Always, if you kill yourself, it's your fault. If she, if she breaks it off, your fault. If you fucked up, your fault. It's always put back on the guy. It's the idea of authority and power.
Burden of performance.
True.
Well, they don't differentiate between responsibility and fault, right? You have the responsibility to act. Your wife leaves you. You have the responsibility to act. You either off yourself, or you go find what you need to get the help that you need to level up and get over that situation, right? So they mix between responsibility and fault, and they don't see the difference between the two. And that's the problem, right?
Well, the idea, I think, is this. I'm not saying that it's not ultimately the guy's decision to do whatever he's going to do. It is. It's on him. That's his choice. Whatever, he did it. I'm not saying that he was in his right mind when he might have been in a bad way. Men tend to. You want to know why men are more successful at offing themselves? It's because men are more pragmatic about it. It's more of it's a problem solving. It's not about emotion. It's just like, this seems to be the most pragmatic way to solve I'm in pain, and this is the most pragmatic, deductive way for me I can either rebuild myself or I can end myself. And unfortunately, usually that decision is made by ending themselves, because they don't see how they can come back from that much of a loss or that much of a deficit. And so they go out in a blaze of glory, or they just, you want to know why men tend to either hang themselves or shoot themselves when it comes to suicides? They don't take sleeping.
It's effective. It's effective.
It's effective, but you also have to find the body. That's why. You have to find the man who and I've seen it myself, the guy who's got the noose around his neck, the guy who blew his brains out. You clean this up. That's really what the final message is. And so men are much more efficient at that, but they're more intentional with their suicides.
Last one here, and then we'll wrap up and go around the horn, guys. I have this on the list here because Rollo dropped it in one of the chats that we're in. Steve Harvey's wife and not Steve Harvey. Not
I win one more time.
Do we know who Alpha Winner's her, or we don't know? She's not really a famous Mrs. Harvey, isn't like?
Well, she's famous enough that like she's been on his show. He's made her famous by proxy.
Got it. By making her a part of his brand.
Oh yeah.
Asshole pay anyone?
She doesn't have, right. She doesn't have any really marketable talents, I guess. She wasn't famous before she got with him, but she's famous for being with him. And again, you want to talk about a blue pill alpha who's going to, this guy, like, even after this, I will guarantee you Steve Harvey will not have a change of heart. He won't change his narrative. It's just like Will Smith. Will Smith is so committed. He's what's called committed to the trail. Do you know what I'm saying when I say committed to the trail? Mm-hmm. Like if this is for guys who like, get in Jeeps and they do, stuff. If you're on a trail, it's like a single track trail and you're like crawling up that trail, there comes a point where you can't reverse back down. You have to follow. You're committed to the trail. You have to always follow it all the way up to its end, no matter what. Because if you do and you go back, you're probably going to crash. You're probably going to die because you're going to roll down the mountainside, right? Steve Harvey's committed to the trail. Will Smith is committed to the trail as well. And it's what that means is it's in their best interests to keep going than it is to backpedal and go back, because they'll take more damage going backwards than they would going forwards. So if you got Steve Harvey, who is infamously said that he was going to kill any motherfucker in this audience who talks shit about his wife or whatever, when you have that as an everlasting image of people like your marriage and everything else, and how he's he's a ride or die. He's basically a wife. He's a ride or die wife for the chick who was cheating on him with her bodyguard and the chef, right? Also the
ultimate white knight.
Yeah, ultimate white knight, but he's what I call a terminal beta, terminal blue pill, right? Same thing with Will Smith. There's a lot of similarities, by the way, at least personality wise, between Steve Harvey and Will Smith. They're both committed to the trail. They can't go back. Same thing right now. I just noticed this with Steven Crowder. Have you guys seen the video?
Yeah, he apologized.
He's like,
really.
I get it. He didn't apologize. It's like he was waffling, but at least he had to recognize and the fact that he's even bringing up MRIs is just like ludicrous. The fact that he's even bringing up this stuff, at least it shows that he's been reading. He understands, right? And I would very much love to have a conversation with Steven Crowder. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but if I could get him on Fresh and Fit or like on a bigger hell, come out to Vegas, I would love to have him on Access Vegas. But if he wanted to go on like Tim Pool, or if he wanted to go on a bigger name podcast with me and Myron or whatever, I'd be happy to have that discussion with him.
Crowder's never going to be on Fresh and Fit.
Yeah, he's never going to do that. But the other thing is like
they met each other, right?
They had Fresh and Fit on Crowder's show.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Can you imagine Crowder at the after hour show?
Here's a question. Could a woman be alpha widowed by the guy she's with who turned into a beta?
Oh yeah,
like a beta by 1,000 Succession, right?
Yeah,
the guy. So like, could Steve Harvey have been that guy, right? And then over time, he became the beta, and she's like pining for the old version of him.
Steve Harvey was a big fish. That's all he was. Remember, this is his third fucking wife. Okay, or it's his second one that he came back to. I'm not really sure. I know that this is like number 3 in some fashion, right? And just his history alone puts a big target on him, because one of the things is as women get older and they see that a guy has not learned he's not learned the secret of women, like Conan, the secret of steel. You've not learned the secret of women by a certain.
It's the riddle of women.
Yes, the riddle of women. You can't, like, women, like predatorial women see that guy as a mark. And Steve Harvey was a mark. He's a big fish with a lot of clout and with a lot of fame and a lot of fucking money. And he's also, not only is he all that, he's also blue pill as fuck. And he's the perfect fucking mark for a woman just like that. And of course, if I'm bringing that up, then, oh, Rollo, you're just jealous of his professional success. No, I'm just pointing out the obvious here. That's what this guy is. Terry Crews, same thing. Will Smith, same thing. These guys are perfect marks because they've never learned the riddle of women, and they think they have because they're still writing books about how perfect and wonderful their wives are. And I will go kill any motherfucker in this audience. Like that whole spiel. That's that for women who are predatory. They love that. Here's the richest guy, and he's famous and everything. He's single now. If you know the what was it? Was it Shannon Sharp who did the interview with Steve Harvey, and he was he was explaining, and they're like drinking Hennessy, right? Yeah. and he was explaining how he had met forget her name now, Marjorie. How they had met and how they like reconnected after his second divorce, and they came back together again. I like, dude, that story alone told me everything I needed to know. He's a big fish. Is exactly what I told Robert Kiyosaki when he went through his divorce with Kim Kiyosaki. I said, Robert, I know your first intent is going to be like, I'm going to fuck as many of these bitches as I can. I'm Robert fucking Kiyosaki, right? I don't care if I'm 75 years old. I'm going to go out there and have some fun. And he does. But I told him this. I said, you have to be careful because you're Robert Kiyosaki and people are going to see you as a big fish and they're going to see you as a mark. So you have to be very careful. I tried to back him off and insulate him from that shit from the very get-go.
All right. Let's go ahead and wrap up, guys. We've been at this for a while.
What?
I think
We're not gonna name the biggest alpha widow in this sphere. I have to do it.
Okay, Pam Anderson.
No. He knows exactly.
You know where he's going. You know where he's going.
I know who you're gonna talk. I know who you're gonna say. Michaela Peterson.
Anthony Dream Johnson. By Rollo Tomasi.
Okay, I don't know how to quit you.
Is he still making videos about you? Is he still making
videos? Didn't his whole convention like go tits up?
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of alphas who are widowing other creators, Rollo, let's start with you. Final thoughts, and where can people find you online?
You can find me on The Rational Male I have a Substack. I don't know if people know that. I've been writing semi-regularly on that. I hate to say that I've kind of like transferred most of my stuff over from my blog over to my Substack now because Substack pays me. But I still do. I'm actually working on a revamp of the Rational Mail, the blog, so that people have a little bit more accessibility to it. I'm also working on the hardback 10-year anniversary edition of the Rational Mail, the first one, edited for not for content, but for syntax and typographical errors and all that, and larger type. Thank you very much. That's in the works. I'm also working on a book of maxims right now, red pill maxims. So when people wonder, like, what is an alpha widow, Rolo? Well, now we can at least explain like some of these terms that we talk about, because I think too many people have gotten into this space and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So I am trying to help my worst haters and my worst competitors by saying, here, just read this condensed version of all this shit, and then at least you'll be able to defend a point when people like come at you, right? So I've got the book of maxims coming out. I'm also going to be in Kenya beginning on November 23rd. I'm going out to Kenya with, well, actually by way of Dubai. I'm going to Dubai. We'll be speaking on the 25th of November in Dubai. And then I'm on a speaking tour, by the way, with Andrew Kibe, who is sort of like the red pill Rollo Tomasi of Kenya. And he also has dual citizenship. So he's been asking me to do this for a while. So I finally agreed. Going to Kenya for 10 days. I'm going to go and talk to the guys there. December 3rd will be the talk that I'm doing in Kenya. And then if he can talk me into it, I might do Qatar. So we'll see. But I'm doing sort of that area right there. It's a hot area. It's a hot zone. So, but I'm doing it primarily because I want people to understand that the red pill and this stuff is not just, unique to the United States. It's worldwide, man. It's in Turkey. It's in Kenya. It's in South Africa. It's in Japan. It's in India. It's everywhere. So when you're going to say, if you're going to tell me that the red pill is dead, I'm going to prove you wrong. And I'm going to do it by doing things instead of just sitting here and yapping all the time. So anyways, that's what I got going tomorrow. I will be on my channel, 1 p.m. Pacific. I might even talk about alpha widows tomorrow.
So you're saying it's red pill's not just for all these broken women in America. Got it. Okay, cool. John Fitch, what's going on with you?
Yeah, go to johnfitch.net, sign up for newsletter. I've started doing virtual coaching. So I have my Fitch Smash program, and I can take you through that as well as coach you in your jiu-jitsu, striking, whatever. I'll give you lessons and you'll do them. You can film yourself doing them. I can correct and adjust things, and then we move on to the next thing. So reach out, email, DMs. I'm available. I'm getting something started with that kind of news. So I'm not charging a ton. I'm building. So get in on the ground floor and save some money.
All right. Sounds good. Mr. Thor.
Hey, you guys, you can find me in about a half an hour on the Dragon Ship over at RP Thor. We're going to do an actual episode on testosterone. It's not natural. So come and check it out. We're actually going to talk about testosterone replacement therapy, and we might talk about a few myths when it comes to that too. And you can also, I'm going to post in the chat right now, you can get a free audio chapter narrated by myself of my book, A Dominant Masculine Presence. And I will go ahead and put that into the chat. And of course, use the free code RULE0FAN, and you can get a free chapter. And that's about it. Thanks, Paul.
I think this video is going to redirect to the Dragon Ship right after this, guys. So stay tuned. Mr. Producer, what are you producing, man?
You guys should definitely, if you want to level up your crypto game, I'm producing Charlie and Miguel's show, Cultivate Crypto and Dollar Cost Crypto Weekly. Charlie has a show Tuesday through Friday. Miguel has a show Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So some interesting stuff going on. Some new coins coming out, so definitely check that out. Next week, I'll be working with Mr. Tomasi when he comes into town with got some cool stuff coming up.
Andrew Kibe.
Yep. I wasn't going to say the name. I was going to let you do it.
I didn't know if you knew his name.
Yeah, I knew his name. And we also got Andrew Wilson from The Crucible coming next week before he goes to whatever podcast. So I will be with him on Wednesday night. And Rollo, I messaged you about him, so
confirmed.
Just give me a call. So that we got that. So it's gonna be pretty busy next week. And I'm still editing the wrestling match where I cannot name the winner. All right. I signed an NDA. Paul made me sign an NDA. I can't talk about the winner of that fight. So still working on editing that for the pay-per-view. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, no, that's it.
All right. Mr. Napier, what's going on, man?
Channels in the chat. Go there. Live show tomorrow. Tune in.
Live show? Nude?
Oh.
You wish.
On his OnlyFans page, guys.
You
Check
wish,
out
old
Jack's
man.
OnlyFans page.
It's for members only, guys. If you know what we mean. All right.
You might get one.
Live nude Jack. So much spicier than dead nude Jack.
So I'll just end with some actionable information.
Yeah.
Don't overly concern yourself about whether a chick that you're seeing is alpha widowed or not. Worry about being the best possible version of yourself, because it's just like hypergamy. It's not a straitjacket. You know, you can out alpha the previous alpha. It's possible. Okay. It's possible.
Just look at if she makes rules for you or if she breaks rules for you.
Jack, maybe this is a better one. Jack, what did you say earlier on? You said like, know that it's there, but don't obsess about it or something like that.
Yeah. Assume, don't obsess.
There you go. Perfect. Absolutely.
Credit to Ryan.
There you go. Shout out to Ryan, who's not here today. He's on his deathbed. I finished a book too, guys. I finished a book. I've been streaming about it quite a bit lately. I wouldn't consider it necessarily a red pill book. It's on everything I wish I knew when I was 18. And it goes really through everything that I learned in my late 30s. And I was like, why the hell didn't anybody teach me this when I was 18? So when that comes out, it's off with the editor right now. Hopefully it'll be ready by Christmas. Read it. And if you get value out of it, and you have like a teenager graduating high school or something like that, a nephew or something like that, give them this book. All right. This will help them out. It'll give them a kickstart to life. It talks about all sorts of things from, financial planning to how to, pick a career, how to do job interviews, fitness and diet and weight loss, and then also the dating and relationship stuff. So it's pretty well-rounded book. Tune into Monday's episode. It's with Paul Benjamin. He and I are going to shit all over attachment theory. That's going to be a fun one. And then finally, I'm going to take us out with a commercial for the beer club, guys. The next beer club hangout is next Thursday. It's going to be a Halloween hangout. It's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern time on the 26th. So we'll play this and then we'll see you guys on the Dragon Ship. Here's a harsh truth that everybody gets upset about online when I say it. They get upset because of their ego investment into the fairy tale idea of love and partnership. They get upset because of their ego investment into the idea that their woman is their best friend, their confidant, and they think that love will conquer all, and that their woman will be there through thick and thin. The truth is that as a man, your woman is hardwired biologically and psychologically to want you to be her rock. It doesn't work the other way around. Women do not care about your struggles as a man. They may think they care. They may even want to care, but her evolutionary DNA will not let her care. If you bring her your problems, she will lose attraction for you over time, and she will leave. Now, whenever I talk about this, people lose their minds and start talking about men unaliving themselves. The faster that men learn that women don't care about our struggles, the faster we'll save the lives of men. Men off themselves because of their own ego investments in the Disney fairy tale lie. And when that fairy tale goes up in flames, they get zeroed out and they end things. Men do need a proper outlet for dealing with their problems, but going to their woman isn't the answer. Men need a tribe. They need a brotherhood. That's why I created my beer club. It's a monthly virtual hangout for men only. It's a place where men can be men. It's a place where men can talk about guy stuff without having to worry about offending women. It's a place where they can go without having to worry about being called toxically masculine. It's a place where they can go to solve their problems. Because men solve problems. Women cause problems, you dig? Visit beer.comeonmanpod.com. That's beer.comeonmanpod.com to sign up. All right, thanks, guys.